In the previous video, the GraphQL server that we had to work with was down. Well, not the service, but not the server, but the underlying services. So it was presenting errors. On this version, we actually have it working. So if we actually query for something, we get results back. As you can see over here, if we go for something different, we see that we get all this list of information. So let's assume that this is your case. You're working with a server, a GraphQL API, everything is working, but you know that there's something new, a new attribute, a new piece of information that it's going to be added to the schema, and you are supposed to be adding that on your client or your UI. Nevertheless, this is not available on the current server that it's deployed. So you want to actually include that in the response, and you have a couple of options. Certainly you can do it with something like the Apollo client. You can actually do something client side only, extending the schema and resolving it, providing a fake piece of information or response on the client code. But what if you want to keep it clean and want to do it exclusively on the backend? So another way that you can do it is using Graphql-faker. On their website, they have basically an explanation on how it works, how you can extend data from a real server, and you can add more data into it. So you can go through the documentation. We're going to go through the example directly. So I have my service here. I'm going to actually change this to actually, we're going to do GraphQL on the command line, faker, and then I'm going to extend. I'm going to actually give it the URL where my schema can be found, where my server is, right? So right away, this will open for us the same editor that we saw before. And you can see, as always, now instead of presenting an example on how to fake a type or schema, it actually shows you a slightly different one, which is how to extend. So let's leave that for a minute, and let's go back to our sandbox to actually query stuff. So my expectation now is that I want to work with the GraphQL server that it's deployed, the one that I don't have ownership, but it's working, and I want to actually extend it. So as always, my expectation is that here I can find the documentation, and you can see something very particular right now. I'm seeing post, user comments, user by ID, which matches exactly what I have on the server, that on the API that I don't own. But it also have pet and pets. So if we look here, this is how we actually extended it. So this is a default example. So right now, what I can do is I can actually check out posts. As always, autocomplete is there for us if I do it right. Okay, so let's do query all posts, and then do posts, and then I want to get the title, maybe the body. All right, so now let's give it, and then as you can see, actually this is the data. I know that it's the lorem that we were faking before, but this is actually the data that I also have on the REST services. That so we're actually, what is happening is that from this sandbox, we're creating the actual GraphQL server through a proxy that sits in the middle. So this is exactly the same data. If I do title and body on this one, you will see that it's exactly the same. So look at these first two. If we go back, this is exactly what I get. Right. So far so good, because I have access to my API server that it works. But like I said before, we want to extend it. So we go back to the first tab or to the editor. And obviously the pets and the blogs are, I mean, if you're doing a blog about pets, maybe. But otherwise, we can actually tune it to do something else. So if we remember our documentation, so far we had post, users, comments, user by IDs. I would like to add maybe tags. So what if we add tags? So right now, let's do this. let's remove this. I'm going to say I want to be able to ask for all the tags available. And I'm going to return an array of tags. Okay, so now let's remove all this. And we're going to say type tag. And we're going to say this will have an ID. And then this will have a name. And then I'm going to return a string. And we're going to say fake type. And I don't know if there's a tag. I don't think so. How about label? I don't know. Let's see what we have. Oh, we have. Oh, you know what we have? We have the lorem that has options, and then this one has the lorem size, and I can use Word. Okay, there we go. So now we save it. Now if we go back, first of all, everything should still work unless the services are down. They're not. And then this has actually not refreshed. That's interesting. Maybe we need to just refresh the browser and go back and granted. There you go. So now we have the tags which have the ID and the string. So now if we actually add the tags, let's add the ID and the name, and we query for this, we are now getting some random names with some unique IDs for the tags.